Hey everybody, this is Dr. Ben Young and I am recording this for my two podcasts, the Perio Hygienist podcast as well as the Perio Patient Podcast. I'm doing this a little differently. I'm on the road. I'm traveling down to Corpus Christi to see a patient, and that's a story in and of itself, which we might put on at another time. But as I've been able to drive down and over and back, I have the opportunity to talk and think to you, listen to different things. And I wanted to just take a brief moment and tell you that I've not forgotten you on these podcasts. I know it's been a little bit, but the purpose has always been, when I have wanted to record something and send it out to professionals, dentists and hygienists, as well as patients, the purpose has always been focused, I think, on what I do, and that is I'm a periodontist in private practice in San Antonio, Texas. If you go back over some of my podcasts, you will find on the hygiene side, that whole purpose was and is to transfer patients back to general dental offices, because I do not have a personal hygienist, and I believe I can work with hygienists who are in other offices as well as general dentists in those offices, and that we can provide together quality care and enable patients to be able to remain as much as possible in their family dental offices wherever they are. And that's because I work with what I define as comprehensive dentists. Comprehensive dentists in their offices are people who understand that they are responsible for finding problems, not necessarily treating everything, just like I don't treat everything. We look for things that we can provide patients both within our offices as well as expertise outside of our offices. And I work with some outstanding endodontists in my community, as well as oral maxillofacial surgeons, pediatric dentists, orthodontists, and the rest, along with those who are comprehensive dentists, who are classically known as general dentists, but I like the word comprehensive. I think everybody graduates from dental school as a general dentist at first, but as they become more and more seasoned, they become more and more comprehensive in their approaches. They're not simply seeing things that they can do, which are good for patients, but they see what the patient needs. It's the change in perspective from what does the patient need over what can I do? And the more that we all mature in our practices, the more we realize that patients really need a lot of things that we ourselves cannot provide or do not provide. And that's why I rely a great deal on outstanding hygienists, because I'm not a hygienist, and I think there are some skills that hygienists have and a focus that I don't have, because I'm focused more on disease and more on correcting problems. So that's that. The other thing is that this has been a very disruptive time in our country, and in fact I would say the world, with this coronavirus outbreak that continues to be a plague, as well as the politicization of it that makes it difficult to understand and study it as a disease. And in fact, I will tell you that it disturbs me greatly when I am seeing that there are physicians who are frontline physicians who treat COVID and have been in support of hydroxychloroquine and other things for a long, long time, to have them actually not able to speak openly and see them fired from hospitals because they're not practicing the medicine that some administrator wants them to do or some insurance company wants them to do. There's some economic elements here that are very disturbing to me. And I'm putting this out to you because that is just the way I approach my own practice, and that is I want to be able to provide patients with quality care. And as I learn more and more about different therapeutics and processes that might help patients, I want the freedom to be able to go into these things and study them and apply scientific understanding that I'm not so that I'm not just simply doing what people instruct us to do without any scientific basis. And the whole word science and the scientific and everything has been basically usurped and turned into something that it is not, has never been. The approach of science has always been one of questioning and being skeptical about everything. And I'm not even saying that those people who have been in charge of all of the coronavirus activities and the things are absolutely wrong on every point. I don't believe that. I simply want there to be a vigorous debate and a lot of opportunities to study things. I don't want everybody locked down to do something. And I'm going to finish with one other thing that I want you to know. I want you to look at the death rates from coronavirus. I want you to look at who are the most at risk. And I want you to understand that the vaccine that has come out is experimental. It's experimental right now, and the reason I can tell you that is because that is how it is described by those who have produced it and those who are delivering it. It is experimental. It did not go through the normal approaches. That's fine because we had a pandemic, and so that makes sense that we would want to rush things into the world if we can prevent death. That's great. However, the death rate from the COVID-19 is not that high except for some select groups. And there are things about an experimental vaccine that we do not know. It doesn't mean that the vaccine is bad. It just means that we scientifically don't know some things. And therefore, we need to be able to hear from different people about this vaccine. And then from that, people can make decisions as to whether or not they wish to have it. It is disturbing to me that perhaps flight restrictions will occur for people who have not been vaccinated. I think if it's an experimental medication, it should not be required that people are forced to do it. Otherwise, they're losing their jobs or they're not able to fly and all the other things, especially when you're talking about this particular virus. It is not that severe. I know that there's a lot of fear around it, but that's been stoked. And I don't buy it. I think that we need to step back and understand that we've been here before. We know what the flu is like. We know what colds are like. And I know that people do, in fact, die from this. But I also know that a lot of the numbers have been inflated, that the testing is off, and that there's a lot of false positives, and we're going to see that adjusted coming up, and the rates of infection will come down. However, we don't even know with this vaccine whether or not that's going to make people permanently COVID positive. And if that occurs, then what do we do with regards to face masks and shutting people and locking things down and not having businesses? I think a lot of this stuff is very disturbing. And I, for one, want you to know that I am for freedom and for liberty. I want us to be able to do rational things. And I don't want a lot of things coming out of CDC or any other governmental groups, WHO or whatever, that then dictate things because they've been wrong a lot in this whole process. And I'm not, I'm not telling you anything that if you just look at news and reports, you'll see it for yourself. But anyway, I would like to get on to other topics, and I will try and bring up things. But I just thought it was time to step in and say hi, and I hope you're doing well. If you want to connect with me, I have moved over to Telegram. My name on that device, as it is on Twitter, is Ben Young DDS. Usually you can find me at Ben Young DDS if you look for me. Otherwise, you can come to my website, find me there, drop me a line, tell me what you're thinking, and we'll keep talking, I hope. Take care. Bye.